Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about Linux projects such as the desktop environment application. We also chat about any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I got a fantastic, absolutely top-notch panel of people. I got Dale, Eric, Zebedee Boss, Eris, Ben, Jinda, Mike Chilson of BBS fame, and Seeker. How is everybody?
Living large.
Living large. So what does living large mean? Does it mean like you're overeating, or does
No,
that something?
I'm just having fun. That's all.
I'm just being silly. So if you'd be so kind as to just give that like button a good tap there, and subscribe if you've not done so yet, or better yet, join the chat here on Discord. Provide your voice, your input, and help me talk less. So we have a Discord and Telegram you can join. Keep the conversation rolling in between each of these, in between time, in the meantime, or whatever you want to call it. And also be sure to do the straw poll if you have not done so already. We have a straw poll about if you can only keep one of these items, it's a tech item, and have to get rid of the rest, which would you keep? And I know which one I would choose, but interested in knowing what the community would choose at large. So on the docket for today, we're going to do a little more of the new year of Linux, kind of a part two, get to the other items that we did not get to last week because we had such a flowing conversation and I didn't want to cut things off. So anyway, so we're going to talk about that. I got several more topics to see if we can get to those. And yeah, exactly. Thank you, Eris. Thank you. So, but first, what are you doing in Linux and tech? So, Seeker, or
Yes,
Red,
sir.
as you're sometimes called, you said you created a package manager for ZST files. Is that what you said?
Packager, basically.
A packager.
converter for Python. Yes.
Okay.
It's a Python. It takes the Python files that are .py, that are self-contained. Like one entire file. Like that's how usually I program is one entire file. Others will program in modules itself, but I usually do one file. So this program actually repackages it as a ZST package for Arch, and gives it the ability to actually be installed on an Arch system, along with other programs I've created. Basically, it's a packager for all the programs I've created that I want installed on EcoOS or StormOS or Genesis or one of the other ones that we have, like Accretion.
Okay. So this is a packager basically just for Arch-based distributions then, right?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes.
Okay. Got it. And
Sorry, it's my dog.
no worries. And how's it working out so far?
It's good. I got it working at 100%. I'm testing it out with different what's it called, environments that I've had tested on Eco, and I've tested on I think on Cache as well. Yeah.
Okay. So it's tested in multiple. And
Yeah.
how are you going to distribute it, like in the AUR for everybody, or how's it going to work?
I've actually never attempted that. I was just going to distribute it within my own within our own groups, But I've never attempted in the AUR. I never tried that. I don't even know where to go with to start all that. Yeah.
Can always ask Jeeves.
Dare I say you start with the Arch Wiki? They must tell you how to do it.
Hey, yeah. You're right.
Good luck reading that.
Lottery.
It's always riveting reading the Arch Wiki. Well, that's neat. So I guess what is the like in the vast configuration of things? What's the pain you're trying to eliminate by creating this? Is there some just some kind of repetitive thing that you do that you just want to stop doing?
Well, it's basically I create the packages for myself, and if I want to rebuild Let's say we build an operating system, I can have the packages already ready for myself just to install, and so
Okay.
I don't have to reinstall them again or carry them over, you know,
So
instead of backing
to
them up.
simplify your own personal workflow, and then you're going to share it with others.
Yeah, and it
Okay.
simplifies not just mine but other people's as well, you know.
That's neat. How long did it take for you to develop this from start to where you are now? Like, is it like a several week project? A thing you did in an afternoon?
No,
At
the
whim?
packager itself,
Yeah, well,
me,
yeah.
an hour.
Oh, so is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
it's terminal only based program then? Is that how it works? Or
GUI, GUI.
oh, it's a GUI. So
AI has been helping me for all this time, you know, but you
oh,
know, that's just me. But yeah, it took about an hour. The installer is a different thing. That took about 5 6 days. 5 6 days during a lot of testing. Yeah.
okay, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Seems like you've become rather prolific lately, making all these different cool little tools.
Well, the truth of the matter is, why I do it is it's a coping mechanism for me.
Okay.
You know, it gets very sad, but it's a coping mechanism. It's a way to how to deal with things in the world. So if I stop, then I don't know what to do. You know, so I just keep coming up with ideas.
I got it. Makes sense. You gotta when things get a little rough, a hobbies are always good to like keep the keep the ship level, keep the ocean liner level in the water, I suppose.
Yes, I agree.
Well, very cool. Well, if someone wanted to try your packager, or this is more probably for you to package your software so you can install. Is that how it works? I guess. I guess is this something you would share with others then?
Release it. I'm gonna probably. I have a folder on my source force for EcoOS, and I'll probably just upload it there
Okay.
so that people can try it and use it. It'll be titled EcoSC, you know, it's like short for something. I forget what it was, but I can rename it, you know.
Okay. Got it. Well, if you want to share a link with that, I'll put it in my show notes if you're interested.
Sure.
But it's up to you. It's entirely on you whether or not you want to or not. So if so, cool. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thank you for sharing.
Oh, my pleasure.
Right. So it's time to move on to the straw poll. So the straw poll that Eris so kindly put together was if you can only keep one and have to get rid of the rest of these bits of technology, which of the following do you keep? I thought this was a great one, and I did not get number one in this one. I was not in the number one group. Oh, Eris, if you want to go ahead and just take it away.
Okay. Hope everybody voted already. Oh, now that people are voting.
Well, you can stammer a little bit, right?
Yeah. Just say the options. So the options were you only get to keep a laptop, gaming console, mini PC, phone, Raspberry Pi / SPC, as a server, a tablet, or a tower PC / all-in-one PC, which I think should probably be the same thing. And I'll refresh one last time. The number one answer was Tower PC / all-in-one PC with 43%, followed by laptop with 33%, phone 22%. Server got 4%. And nobody picked a gaming console, nobody picked a mini PC, nobody picked the Raspberry Pi SPC, and nobody picked the tablet, which I'm kind of surprised. 'Cause, I mean, tablet can do a lot. Very power efficient too. So yeah, Tower PC, all-in-one PC wins.
That surprises me. I would think laptop would be number one because you can very easily take it with you. You can stick it in a bag and put it in your go bag and then go. But I guess
Yeah, I must admit, sorry, Nate. I was going to say I must admit I did change my vote, or wanted to change my vote 2 seconds after I clicked Tower all-in-one PC, because I thought, how stupid am I going to look lugging 2 battery packs on my back and a 49-inch tall tower on the local bus as I'm going down to Tesco's. So there's no way. Yes, you can make phone calls on it because you can get Wi-Fi and all that and WhatsApp and whatever you want to chat with. But in the end, I thought, well, no, do you know what? I'd end up getting a tablet because a tablet is just could end up being a big phone if you had the right thing inside of it. So you could cheat and have a PC and a phone in one, which would be your tablet. So if I had to vote again, I would vote tablet.
I went through a similar sort of process of elimination where laptop was my first instead of a desktop. And then I thought, well, yeah, okay, if I just wanted a computing device, but realistically, day to day, I'm either going to use, and this is true in my real life, in my life day to day, is I tend to use my tablet for computing or connecting to my desktop or SSH. Like I use it for a lot of different things. Probably my primary like computing device now. And then, but my phone is still the thing that from a practical standpoint, like that's how I stay in touch with my family. That's how I get directions to places I'm going. That's how I listen to music and podcasts. That's how, I mean, it's just on and on and on. I use my phone probably more than I'd like to admit, but ultimately when I look at that list, it's like, that's the one thing I probably just couldn't not have. You know?
That makes sense. Now, when you say tablet, is it the Dell, like that tablet, or is it like an
No,
iPad, Samsung type tablet? Android?
It's the Samsung, yeah, the Galaxy S8 Plus. So, because the Latitude tablet is really like a computer. It's just in that form factor. So, I've tried to use it as a tablet, and it does work, but it's just, even with like GNOME and like Fedora or Ubuntu or whatever, it just, the full weight of an operating system, a desktop operating system, is an advantage in the cases where you need that kind of power or flexibility. But most times when I'm picking up a tablet, it's going to be for media consumption or, light productivity work, or just being able to grab it and go and have it be lightweight. The battery life is wonderful. And the Samsung Galaxy tablets have excellent HDR support. So like the display is amazing for watching content. And even the speakers have like the Dolby Atmos, I think it is, where, and I don't know how it works, but it tricks your brain into thinking like you're hearing things behind you, or, there's only four speakers. There's four speakers in it, but somehow like, it's how is there something behind me? I don't know how it does that, but yeah, it's an excellent media device. Probably the best screen I have, honestly, out of every device I have. And then, yeah, the battery life is excellent, and it's lightweight. It's kind of the best of all things in terms of like portable productivity and media consumption.
I mean, I can't fault it at all. It makes total sense. There's some interesting notes here in the YouTube. So 01 says, are you asking me to keep only one of my specific machines, or to choose one class of computer in general to keep? I think however you want to interpret that is totally fine. Vince says, is this poll rooted in the current cursed timeline of silicon affordability? Yes. Anna Rita agrees with you, Eric. He says that she likes tablets for my consuming media. So, yep. And then Code 2610 said, I voted laptop because I can do more with that than a tablet. And then Anna Rita also says, I love Lenovo tablets more than Samsung. And yeah, actually, for my company, I think I've purchased like almost 30 of those Idea tabs now for different functions. We're replacing iPads, like getting rid of the iPads and moving to Android for various reasons. I'm also the IT manager, so it's my call. Anyway, so Me personally, a laptop is what I voted for. I could do without my phone. I wouldn't miss it, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't miss playing Pokemon Go and occasionally Solitaire, when you're kind of waiting in line for something in the airport or whatever. But I can do without. What about you, Dale? What was your vote?
My vote was the tower, but after hearing all of the things that we do with a cell phone, yeah, I probably should have voted cell phone.
Yeah, it is on there. Yeah, it's funny I got it was third place on this. How about you, Adam? Sneaking in.
Totally missed what the question was.
Oh, so if you could keep only one of these items and you have to get rid of the rest, which would you keep? Your tower, all-in-one PC, a laptop, phone, server, gaming console, mini PC, Raspberry Pi, or single board computer, or tablet.
It's a pedantic answer, but probably my phone because it kind of does all the MFA for me to make money. So, like all my work MFA and stuff would be on there. So I kind of need that to make money.
That's a good point.
I hadn't even thought of that. You're right.
Now,
it'd be kind of hard to continue doing what I'm doing without it.
Right. I moved a lot of my MFA
Work
stuff
provides
to
a laptop, so
Bitwarden, so I can use that from my laptop. But not everything. I would like to know who said server. Like who voted server. That's the one thing they would bring. I salute you. Now this doesn't actually say you're gonna leave with it. Just like that's if you're getting rid of all your technology. For me, I'm thinking mobile because I'm often a digital nomad. That's why I think that.
If I didn't need MFA for work, then yeah, probably a desktop PC.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to ask whoever picked that. What do you do with the server afterwards? Like, how do you're going to connect to it directly, or how do you use it? Would you use it like with like a some kind of device, like a Chromecast or something, to connect to your server to watch movies or something? I don't know. How would you use a server without a computer or a phone or something else?
You can use. I mean, I have one server that I set up where I use the video out on, and it's like terrible frame rate, but it works. I mean, you can use it like a desktop. But yeah, what would be the purpose of it? Like, what are you doing with the server?
I mean, by that token, you could just use it. You could run your services on your desktop and have a better experience than running your desktop on a server.
Right. It's fun. How about you, Eris? What did you vote for? Phone?
I picked the laptop.
Okay. What would be your phone?
I mean, you could still use MFA if you use a phone through one of those what is it called, like they sell you, they give you like a phone you can purchase for like a month. I forgot.
Like a burner phone type
Yeah,
thing.
you can do that. Yeah, you could also emulate like Android phone in order to have like the other capabilities.
Yeah, so I guess the
Wait,
MFA I use for work isn't like SMS, right? It's applications, right? Like
Yeah, but you can't do that,
MFA
Aris, because you can only have one tool. So you can't have your laptop and a burner phone.
No, I'm saying you can emulate it.
like a Google Voice number type thing.
Yeah, you can have like a Google Voice,
Yeah.
or you can get like a different service and has like an application where you can call people through your computer and have your phone service like that.
Or, I think
It's a
Waydroid.
workaround. It's a kind of like how Adam said you can have services using your computer if you had like a tower, but it wouldn't be the same thing as having a dedicated server, of course. Much better to have a dedicated server.
That's a really interesting idea. Like, could I shift my entire life away from my phone, and with all the different tools available, could I run between like running Waydroid and everything else on a laptop? Could I move everything to the laptop entirely? I wonder. I think it'd be a neat experiment. I mean, I'd gladly give up my phone if I could. I really would. Anyway.
Yeah, I chose the I chose the desktop instead of a laptop because I feel like if I'm leaving the house at that point, then I could just leave all my tech behind and, go touch grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, I think, my main thinking behind it, because we're too tied to technology nowadays. Gone are the days when I'd go out at 9 o'clock in the morning, jump on my bike, go wherever with all my friends, and as long as I was back by 5 o'clock for tea time, nobody cared where I was. Nobody cared what I was doing. Mum wasn't worried. Mum wasn't constantly texting me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you? Are you safe?" It was just a different world back then with no technology, and we had the chance to use our brains more. We used to have to think more. We used to have to make our own fun rather than sitting there doom scrolling on TikTok or YouTube videos and then pointing to each other. And then you're both sitting there looking at your phone going, "Ee." No, we was out there building cabins and going under the park bandstand and getting told off by the keeper saying, "Get out of there, it's dangerous." And we'd be like, "Yeah, well, come and catch us," and then leg it away from him. But kids don't know how to do that nowadays.
Now, I do have a question. Would this be considered a single board computer? Eris, it's a you question.
No, I would think single board computers, that has to be small. Has to be like at least like a mini PC kind of size.
'Cause it's just one board in there.
I mean, that's like any computer, really, right? But the motherboard, you have like the it's cheating.
Yeah, I guess by that point, a lot of laptops are single board computers, right?
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Wants it to be a single board computer so bad. Let's give it to him this time. How about that?
I do. In that case, I would take my Commodore 64 because then I couldn't do anything practical with it. Not true. I could do some things. Well, neat. That's a fun poll for sure. If you could only have one. Yeah. Do you remember when you only had one computer in the house? Like the multiple people shared? Does anybody remember those times?
The family computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like in the dining room or living room or something like that?
We never did, honestly. I had a computer at my grandparents', but my family in my house, we never had a computer, and until I bought them one when I was in my 20s.
So you're saying your grandparents are more hip than your parents?
My grandfather just wanted me to learn about computers, so he bought me a Tandy from Radio Shack when I was like 7 or 8.
Nice.
And I taught myself BASIC and stuff, so yeah.
What was it? Tandy 1000?
Matrix printer and the tape recorder data. That's how you stored your files, was on a cassette tape.
Yep.
So you had the color computer? Is that the one you had?
TRS-80 color. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
good
What
stuff.
was more,
The terrible keyboard, absolutely awful, wretched keyboard, but otherwise, yeah, pretty decent little machine.
but what was worse back in them days when you were sharing with everything with your family and you're just about to finish downloading that program and mum picks the phone up to make a phone call. Dink, disconnected, you got another 3 hours of download to do. Mum, put the phone down.
Yeah, I used a download manager that would dial, like it could do everything itself at 2 o'clock in the morning. It would dial up, download. I'd have things queued up. It would, get up in the morning and have a bunch of stuff ready waiting for me.
We actually ended up getting a second line at my house when I was a kid, and because I think my parents were annoyed with me and the computer, so. And then eventually, actually, my dad started using it too because he got his like a Windows 95 PC. I remember that I had to help him with it, and I thought he betrayed the Commodore in my mind. So.
Wow.
But anyway.
I think I told Nate and Adam this story, but I made my very first money on a programming job on an Atari 800 XL. And we had a local cable company, and one of the shows wanted like a Starfield simulation background while the credits rolled. And so I wrote it in BASIC, had my mom carry me up to the cable company, and the engineer transferred it over, and I got my check for $100, and I was done.
That's actually neat that you made your first computer job on an Atari.
Yep.
Kids can't say that these days, I'm sure. So
Have you played Atari today? Sorry. Really played in my mind.
Oh my god.
So, Code 2610 says, my first real computer was an MPF2. Does anybody know what that is? I mean, I suppose I could duck it, but I don't know. I haven't heard of that one. MPF2. Well,
I don't think so either.
I got to figure it out. What's an MPF2?
I had a Tandy color computer too.
Oh, it's an Apple II clone.
The only thing I could do on it was BASIC.
Did anybody have a web TV? MSN TV, I think it was called later or something like that.
I remember
No,
those,
no.
but I never had one. Yeah. Still have a couple. I have a Timex Sinclair 1000.
Oh, those were cool.
Yeah, you know what's neat about those? People don't know this, is that it actually had no video card in it or no video chip in it. The processor actually time shared between what it was doing and the video output. It was wild, man.
So does all tech kind of do that at some
What's
point
that?
then? Because I mean, you saw that you see that in the personal computer space, you had all these sort of different options for a while. You know, different operating systems, different hardware, and then the IBM PC clones came in and sort of solidified the Windows side of things, and then Macintosh. And so you sort of ended up with two choices, and then we saw the same thing with smartphones, right? Where at first there were all these different Palm offshoots and like different sort of like Pocket Assistant, you know, turned smartphone Windows. Like we had all these, you know, Microsofts, and now we're down to basically two again. Is it sort of that just an ongoing process where we'd end up with just a few choices after all the consolidation's done, and I don't know, capturing the mind share, or
when you think about it, it's the when you have a new technology, you have all these different options and variations, and then they start to kind of merge and coalesce around something that has the most, I think, mobility. Not necessarily the best in every way, but one that is best in all categories. So I think like the IBM PC was really kind of garbage until the 90s, really, when you think about it. It wasn't very good. I mean, an Amiga or Commodore 64 could do circles around it and just like performance, like for games and things like that. So I don't know. But I think with like graphic accelerators, because of that open architecture that it had, which kind of made it, you know, it was all just off the shelf parts. But as you know, those graphic cards came in and all these other, that open architecture allowed for things to be added to it to make it much better, and then it pretty much kind of sort of is, you know, it is the thing. Although now I think Apple's kind of messed everything up with the whole, you know, M series. Maybe that's better now. I don't know.
You know, Eric, you have a point though. Like it's not even like within the overall thing, but even within like the open PC systems, like you had a lot of different, you know, graphics accelerators back in the day. Power VR accelerators. You had 3DFX, NVIDIA, ATI. Like there's a whole bunch of competitors in the space, and now it's, you know, three choices, functionally only one, if you think about it. But
And
like,
and is it just like a natural order of things?
It just
or
seems,
is that because of the business laws? Is it because I guess I just don't know, you know?
so it's funny you say that, because this is a long while back. I was reading a Reddit thread about like people talking about their preferred like devices and other stuff. And there was one person in there that just made a simple comment that stuck with me the whole time is, y'all sure love monopolies, huh? And that stuck with me because that is such a common thread that people, like, they choose one thing and they just stick with it. It doesn't even matter. Like, if it's good, bad, whatever, like, whatever they end up choosing, they just choose. And eventually it just kind of filters itself down, because a company that doesn't have a lot of users or a lot of people buying their product or service, like they kind of can't survive, and then the other people just find the monopoly to choose after that.
Well,
And
and
it's
does
like
does monopoly
it's
power?
a very common
Sorry, go
thing,
ahead.
like just within humans, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
think
picking
it's a
a
common
team
thing, yeah.
and then being blind to any of the negative aspects
Right.
of it. Yeah, no, that I agree with. But I wonder if monopoly power is such that like it gives a company the leeway to create a standard. Like, we may not love Microsoft for lots of different reasons, but I would argue that in many ways, at least in terms of like office technology, they really brought the business world, from paper, file, like everything was very analog into digital, and it took decades to do. But I mean, I would say by being a monopolistic power and having an operating system that is essentially backward compatible, to an almost ridiculous degree, that, they've sort of enabled the world to exist the way it does now, for better, for worse. I mean, I'm not arguing either side of it. I mean, I kind of fall on the worse side of it. I always think more choice is better, especially for consumers. But
Sorry,
But I guess
it's interesting that someone calls it a monopoly and other people call it brand loyalty.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
think about
it's kind of Zeb. It's similar to the whole idea of like you only fact check the things you don't agree with. It's like that. Like if you think it's a bad thing, it's a monopoly. If you think it's a good thing, it's brand loyalty, right?
Yeah.
what do you think
Well,
about
I
though?
think in any open market, like we have in capitalism, you're going to have people or companies that have the resources to either buy up or develop these ideas on a continuing basis until they hit, right? And then what happened? I mean, look at Apple, okay? How many flops did Apple have? The Apple Newton, do y'all remember that?
Lisa.
Yeah, the Lisa. Yeah, I mean, and it's because they have the funds or the capital to either buy what they think will be, a marketable product or develop it themselves. And I think that's what ultimately leads to that monopoly. Is you have this triangle of little companies developing stuff, the bigger ones buying it up, and then everything comes to a point when they have the market.
Well, a big company can make something and fail, when a little company, if they made it, they would be out of business.
Right.
Well, but if you also look like there's a lot of things that with internet or with technology, there was startups that really were like 10, 15 years ahead of their time, and they didn't make it. But larger companies that have the capital to be able to take a bunch of hits and develop something and push it for a while. I mean, how long did it take before the Xbox was profitable?
Yeah. Till like a few years ago.
Pretty much. And now they're mothballing the whole thing now. So, I guess.
Oh yeah, I could have a rant about that, but I won't. Just recognize that it doesn't matter that it's profitable to Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
can
then
be profitable and still a failure in their mind.
Google too. I miss Google Plus. Anybody here miss Google Plus? I think that was great. I miss Google Plus. But the
I miss Google Plus.
All the dang time back in the day. That was
was-
the top notch.
yeah, it was the best.
That was that probably was the best social network out there.
It was the best.
Because people just shared projects, and it was a really great place to like find really good resources. Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, it's because the normies hadn't found it yet.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But the thing is as well, you look at Google, and they've got this like Google graveyard that is full of all these projects that they bought out, and everybody went, yeah, this is really, really good. And then 2 years later, they dumped it, or 3 years later, they dumped it
Yeah.
to move on to the next big thing. It's as if they've got to continually reinvent stuff for some reason.
Microsoft does the same thing. I mean,
there's a there's a very competitive culture in terms of like product management and like development of new products, where you're given a lot of leeway to try things, move fast and break things. And there's a runway though, and ultimately I think you get to the end of that, and if they can't either, like one of the things that Google does is absorb it into other products. So if you look at Inbox, which a lot of people loved, myself included, they ended up folding a lot of the innovations in that back into Gmail. Wasn't the same, but you at least got some of the benefit, I guess. But then Inbox was killed off. The one that hurts me right now, because I tend to chat a lot on Google stuff, is losing Hangouts. Because Hangouts was actually a pretty well done little system in terms of like what you would want to do with like a chat application. And then they replaced it with Google Chat, which is just complete ass. Then you have no
another
choice.
one they had was Google Help Outs. Do you guys remember that? It was what it was a service that, like, if you were a expert in C, you could set yourself up in Google Help Outs, and if someone needed some help with the C language, they could pay you X number of dollars an hour, whatever you charged.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was
There was
pretty
just
cool.
all kinds of the integrations. I mean, because it existed for long enough and was part of, Google, pretty much all of their different suites and products and stuff all integrated with Hangouts. You could do a ton of stuff with it. And then the Google way of, we'll just replace it with something new and better, meaning we'll strip all the features out of it and leave it just like husk of what it used to be. I mean, Hangouts to Google Chat is still, chat is just, it is so barely functional. Just so shitty compared to Hangouts that anyone who was a Hangouts user, no one could look at chat and be like, oh yeah, that's a great replacement for that product. But
yeah, Hangouts was really good. We used it when I worked for a major appliance manufacturer. We used Hangouts because we used the whole Google Suite, and that worked great. And then when they started like mothballing all the functionality out of Google Suite, it got really sad using Google stuff. So, but what can you do? I'm sure there was a good reason for it.
But is it the technical guys that are making the reason, or is it the financial guys in the background going, no, this is causing, we've just lost 0.001% of our bottom line here, so that's got to go. It's not making us enough money. That's where I think too much influence is nowadays, is the bottom line, and people just aren't willing to continue to invest in something that people use, which is just crazy.
You're completely right, Zeb. That's absolutely it. Because I look at, for example, going back to Xbox, there was the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush, amazing studio, and it was an amazing game, critically acclaimed, sold well, people loved it, and then they closed the studio. The studio's no more. It didn't matter that it was a success. Didn't matter that it was a raving success. They were like, you know what? We're gonna take some of this money, go put it into this other part of our company, and it doesn't matter that this was a success at all. So like everybody else who's still at an Xbox studio is like, well, does it even matter if we're successful? Because we'll get the axe even if we do an amazing job, So
I wonder.
The
You have to
encounters
define
have a ton of influence.
I wonder if there was some
You have
other
to
factor
define
internally on the company that might have done that, because I know, like, I've been in situations where it was a great idea, everybody liked it, but it really was pioneered by like one guy or two guys, and once like there was they were not able to do it anymore. It was a great idea, but it couldn't be. It wasn't a sustainable idea. Like something fell apart on the personnel side of it, that it wasn't sustainable. So I wonder if that's a factor
It's also
too.
it's also well, in this case, the game sold well and was a success by every single metric. But there's a big thing in these companies also that if it's not an immediate $1 billion business in 6 months, then it's not considered a success. Doesn't matter if
HP?
it's profitable. Doesn't matter if it's good. If people use it, like inbox, like I said, like just like everyone else, I'm still mad about that. Like it doesn't matter if it's a good service that plenty of people use and even people pay for. If it's not a bazillion dollars instantly and it doesn't make their share go up 20% overnight, then they don't care.
The other thing you have to keep in mind is who the real customer is, right? Because it's not the end user. You know, major software companies are not, I mean, yes, they have to sell product and they have to fulfill contracts and all that stuff, but that's just a formality in a lot of ways. I mean, the real customer is the shareholder, the board of directors, like that. Those are the people who they're really trying to please, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
officers in a corporation have a responsibility to their shareholders. That's what it boils
right,
down
not to the customer, to the
That's right,
shareholder.
not to the customer, but to the shareholder.
Yeah.
And another thing you have to remember too is some of these products may not scale. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if something becomes amazingly popular and it's quote free unquote, a company has to look at the cost of the scaling on this. If it's going to get so popular that they're spending more than they're getting in from it, then yeah, they're going to dump. I mean, why would they keep it? You know, I mean,
So I like small business.
better or for worse, that's the reality of it.
I will say, there's a lot of these large corporations are just vile organizations, but there are some good smaller companies out there. One, I work for a great company that's not very big, but Framework, they are very consumer centric and sure they're a little more expensive than for a basic laptop, but they are a good company. Maybe not the best laptop, but they're the best company making laptops. That's what I like to say. So
I'm just amazed that nobody thought of that idea before. Why has it taken so long for somebody to say, hey, do you know what? Why don't we just have a base piece of kit and then add people what they want to it, and it then becomes what they need out of a laptop, not what. It just amazes me that it took so long for somebody to come up and do it.
I think there were some other
Makes
attempts,
you wonder if
but I think they just didn't fly.
I was going to say, it makes me wonder if logistics was a big problem for that, having all those parts online and or on hand, and being able to build out things and have the ability to put these systems together in a cost-effective way, and and to just support all the potential iterations that a machine could have. If you think about all of their different add-ons and things and what you could do, and supporting all of that. I mean, I don't disagree. It does seem like a really straightforward, like, of course someone would have done this, but I feel like there had to have been a pretty strong reason that it makes sense now and hadn't before.
Well,
And I think there's
will
also
say,
probably. Go ahead.
well, I would say based on that, I think the problem why it didn't exist before necessarily is some of the modular technology really hasn't matured until recently, like the whole USB-C interface. I think that's kind of key, because you would have had a company had to develop a proprietary interface to do the universal, like the expansion cards and everything else. So I think that's probably part of it. I mean, you can make some arguments on that, of course, because, and then also, really when you get down to like the actual engineering that went into the Framework 13, like it was a monumental effort to get to the point where they took into account all the interfaces, creating a board that has specific interfaces for being able to do the modularity the way they're able to do that. I mean, there's so much that goes into that engineering. Like it's pretty substantive. Also, even like the clearances and such between the input cover and the base of it, and how they actually have that machined just as such. I mean, like the tolerances are tight enough that I'm surprised they're able to produce these things for as inexpensive as they are. So I mean, there's just the actual. I mean, to design something is one thing. To design something for manufacturing is a whole new level of of difficulty, because it's a lot goes into that for sure. So I think the cost benefit analysis probably just wasn't there, and until you basically had someone who really had it as a passion project. So the CEO of Framework basically, that really felt it was time. And I think also people, I think before Framework there really wasn't the absolute disgust against these manufacturers for having the whole right to repair thing. I think it didn't come to a point where it was in the zeitgeist enough that people cared, I think, to want something that they can repair. Because I mean, really, like the T-series ThinkPads, they were pretty serviceable and pretty good. And it wasn't until more recently that Lenovo's not quite as, or ThinkPads aren't quite as serviceable as they once were, and a lot of things like that. So I just think it just took a long time to get to that point. I think that's really what it boils down to. So, I got a response on Twix, so for the StrawPoll. It says laptop, but it must be a 2-in-1. So for the StrawPoll. So anyway, well, let's go ahead and get on the onto the next thing here. Had some more conversations I wanted to get into for Linux in this new year. Kind of the hopes and dreams and wishes and hope nots, I suppose. So on software, is anybody like thinking about like what they're hoping to see for software in this coming year? Is anybody interested in open source innovations in AI at all, or is that kind of like, I'm so sick of AI, I never want to hear those two letters next to each other ever again? Because I'm kind of in that camp at this point.
I think there's room for the good amongst the bad. It's just finding the good, because it's there. I mean, there's a lot of good things that you can do with it, but it's the way it's marketed and, frankly, the way it's just shoved in to so many things in a way that isn't really helpful or useful, that only serves to turn people off and lead to fatigue around like, oh my goodness, more AI. So it kind of detracts really from like the parts that could be like delightful and really helpful and be like, wow, that's super cool. But it's just kind of hard to get there. So
I think you're 100% right there, Eric. And I think the biggest hurdle that AI has got to overcome, at least in my mind, is that too many people think, oh, I've asked AI, I've got the answer, so it must be right. So it's almost taking away from them their ability to go and research and do stuff for themselves. Oh, but I asked Gemini, I asked ChatGPT, I asked whatever one is the model that you like using. And it comes up with this big long list, and you then go back and say, well, that's not quite working on my system, and you feed it more information. And you're allowing it, in my mind, to stop your mind from thinking these things through yourself and doing your own investigations and looking up these websites yourself. Yes, it's a great time saver, but is it dumbing us down?
So it's funny that I believe the issue is that it's being marketed to do exactly like that. So, for example, Sam Altman's wonderful quote of I couldn't imagine raising a newborn without ChatGPT. Like, yeah, that's the issue with the marketing behind it, right? Is that they want you to be completely reliant on it. And I feel like open source stuff, unfortunately, any amount of technical cool stuff in the open source space doesn't really wipe away that feeling, right?
I heard this is a bit of an aside, but I heard a really interesting sort of idea about what AI can be, or what some of the designers or what the engineers that are doing this work kind of think of it as is almost a repository in a certain way, where we've fed all of this data into this system. And if you think about it, I mean, we've done that with books. We've done that with, so analog ways. We've done that digital ways with files and disks. And yes, those were more succinct. Like individual pieces of data, and this is more sort of amorphous and like, opaque, but it's still a repository of knowledge, let's say. And the trick
Information.
is, okay, fair enough.
I wouldn't call Reddit knowledge.
I would, in the sense that there's a lot of like esoteric, like little things that you're never going to find in the open web
Sure.
anywhere. Especially since personal blogs have been destroyed. I mean, Nate, you're one of the few examples of people that is still putting out like technical content where it's like, oh, I had a problem and this guy just happened to be the one to solve it. And if that now doesn't exist on YouTube, or I don't know, the search engines are so bad now that it's not like you can even find anything anymore. So, but that's sort of the premise of the thinking is, and I'm not saying that this is like a mature or a truth at this point, but just the idea that we keep giving all this information to these systems, and that right now they're not so great at maybe interpreting what we really want from them, or how to give us the most useful information at the right time, or all of that. But that it could become that sort of like, how do you get to the information that you need when you need it? Maybe that's the conveyance of it, is that you go through these, and what it is today. Again, this is what we're in 3 years into this technology, at least in its current iteration. That's very, very fast adoption for a pretty formative, technology, that such that, it's going to change. It's going to change probably dramatically, especially where it is gaining traction and where people are using it to benefit them, themselves and their work and their personal lives. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting perspective that I hadn't considered. Was it's really, in a way, like a library of data, of a repository of information, that can be very beneficial if it were to operate in a more sort of responsible, trustworthy, maybe less environmentally impactful. There's a lot of terrible things about it right now that may not continue to be that way long term. I don't know.
Yeah, but picking up on your blog section, that's what I'm talking about when you say, when I say that it's dumbing people down. Nobody nowadays, as you say, apart from Cubicle Nate and maybe one or two others, even bothers to try and write coherently, and in a tone of language that people can have an affinity with. Because I don't know about you guys, but I can go onto any website you like to name and immediately know it's been done by AI, because of the way it speaks. There's no emotion behind it. It's just fact.
Yeah, for sure.
There's
The
just
number one
there's
thing is look for the M dash. No one uses M dashes, but AI uses M dash all over the place.
You're muted, Nate.
The M dash is the double dash with no space on either end, right? Is that what that is? The M dash?
A slightly longer dash, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like a double width.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's only because whatever application they've written it in doesn't realise because the number of times that I've tried to type, double dash when I'm putting a Unix command in, and then whatever application I've been using has turned it into a long dash.
Yeah.
And then you think, hang on a minute, I put a space in the middle of that. What do you do? Why are you auto-correcting what I'm typing? Just let me type it, press enter, then you can tell me what I've done wrong. Please don't try and determine that and that's probably the single biggest thing that does annoy me, is the double dash turning into what you've called an M. I didn't know it was called an M dash, but it's so frustrating when people do that. Yeah.
So I guess what I was going to say is what are your thoughts on using different AI tools for like self-hosted AI tools where it's all local? So for instance, there's a really neat application called Upscale that I use. So if I have I'm going to tell you what I use this for, and I'm going to hear the eyes roll. So I decided I would start playing the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, but I put it on my 1X player. So when I was traveling, like in the airport, when I'm sitting on a plane, what else am I going to do, right? And so I was playing Legend of Zelda on there, but I needed a map. So I took whatever map, the best map I could find that had the detail on it, but it looked like it was done probably 10 years ago. So the resolution was 1000 by 800 or whatever, and I wanted something bigger. So I used upscale to scale it up to make it look nicer. It probably wasn't necessary to use that. But so what do you think of like self-hosted applications like that use a component of, machine learning, predictive whatever algorithms, AI, to accomplish a task like that? What do you feel about that?
So in
But
my
dare I
opinion, the
say that-
technology is amazing. It's all about the marketing and the business behind it. So I love the tech. I just hate the market.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
just
what-
it's just a tool, and use the tool as it should be.
But from what you've just talked about, Nate, isn't that just for the nerds? I mean, because what everybody tends to forget on shows like this is we are not your average normal user. We are people who love geeking out, who love new things, who love testing things. But out of the 98% of the people that are out there, who's going to even give it a second thought to, have their own version of AI on their laptop or on their home computer so that they can get better recipes for their food and all the rest? But they're not going to do that. They're just going to look on the web and find what they want. So it's only geeks like us that would love stuff like that, I think.
I think that's true right now, Zeb, but I think what's going to happen is, first of all, AI right now is a hype, is just going to stop at some point. It's still going to exist. It'll be in all the things, but we're just going to stop saying with AI, because it's just not going to matter anymore. It's going to be like saying, I don't know, that, a car runs on petrol or something. Like it is going to be a fact of life. Yes,
I
it's
have
part of the
MMX
program.
today.
So I don't think that's really going to be it. And the thing I love about individual sort of tuned, targeted AI is, one, it can be very small and very efficient because it doesn't have to be this, monolithic thing like an LLM is. It can be, very small, very specific, very fast. It doesn't need a lot of resources. And in that case, you're not even saying, here's an AI-based image manipulation tool to make it better. It's just, here's this tool that takes an image and sizes it up. Didn't even say anything about AI. Don't care. Doesn't matter. It's just part of it. That's how it works under the hood. And so that's how I think really that you start to see that kind of local adoption of AI technology. And also it sort of follows the Unix principle of do one thing and do it well, right? So instead of, again, monolithic, 500 terabyte, like LLM model or whatever, that takes the biggest graphics card you can possibly buy and, these massive machines and stuff, you find a specific use that you're trying to fill or need you're trying to fill. The model is built for that purpose. It runs on basically any kind of computer or a phone or whatever, and it fits that purpose. So that's really what I think that the sort of the trickle down of what we're doing now with the larger things ends up being making normal programs or sort of run-of-the-mill programs that today just operate better.
Yeah, I think Eric's right, because with AI, fundamentally, it's a different way of computing information. It's not like our traditional quote computing where you take one instruction and get an output out, right? With machine learning, what you're doing is you're getting a bunch of information, huge quantities of information, and trying to make some semblance of sense from it. Which is why I've never really seen it as a database of knowledge per se, but more so taking the information that's out there on the web and then making it more digestible, right? And that's what people see value in. At least that's what the large language model is trying to do. And I've got to say, like, the whole point of some of the large language models has been just to try and get a product out there because of the enormous expense that these things have just taken to build. But when you look at smaller models, smaller things like Eric has said, like coding models, and my favorite one I use the most is actually a product from Google called Notebook LM, which is a product where you feed it documents, PDFs, research articles that you want to try and make sense of, and it'll do a summary. It can even do a podcast out of it's pretty incredible. It'll make a podcast out of it. It's something that Adam showed me, and I've been using it a lot for work when I'm trying to make sense of a bunch of information where rather than trying to read through all the articles, I can just input them into a notebook alone, and it'll only use that information to then answer the questions that I have. To the point where I started to think to myself, a bit like what Zeb was saying, that maybe I'm getting a little lazy, and maybe I should get back to looking at the information again, because these things can still make mistakes. So I've still got to double check what it's doing, but I still found it really useful and a time saver. That's how I've been using it.
So I very similar. So I had a 2,500 page technical document and I needed to provide some answers very quickly for the management team on this, the HR folks on a technology for a time clock system, and they had some questions for me, and so I fed it into a local LLM, the Llama, that the GPT for all that actually Eric introduced me to, and so I fed that PDF in there and asked specific questions and asked for the page references, and so it told me what pages to look for. So it read through the entire document, because there's no way I could read through 2,500 pages. It just was not possible. So I'm sure I could have gone through the index, whatever. But when I'm being asked to do a bunch of other things, it's not the highest and best use of my time. So I fed it in there. It gave me the page references, and so I was able to answer those specific questions, spread along this 2,500 page document. And I could say this will be our challenge if we switch to the system, and so to me that was very valuable. Also, I used same thing, GPT for all, the Llama, and I had a problem with a Korg synthesizer, whatever, and I had an issue with the tuning on it, and I had no idea where that was. So I got a copy of the PDF somewhere, which I had then to use OCR to process it, and then I fed into the LLM to have it find where I can fix the tuning on it, and so it gave me the references as well. So I guess for me, I use it as more like an indexing tool than I think just give me the answers, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and this is sort of, if you hear the concept of agentic AI, right? And that's like you're tailoring it to a specific task or a set of data, right, or something like that. I wanted to add one more thing. I know we're beating AI to death, and people who hate AI are probably sick of this, but I wanted to add one more.
Anna Rita, she says more AI all the time. You just watch her comments.
So my CD collection, my wife and I's collection combined is probably 20 of these boxes that are about the size of a shoebox. And it's just, hundreds and hundreds of CDs. I have a general sense of what's in there, but I haven't listened to any of them in such a long time. And my daughter actually is into CDs right now. Like, physical media is cool.
I totally get it. So with my son, did she make her first did she burn her first CD yet?
She has not done that yet. Okay. She got a boombox. She has a Discman. She has my wife's old Discman, and then she got a boombox for Christmas that has a CD and a cassette player, and then I'm buying her birthdays in a couple weeks, and she's getting CDs for her birthday. Anyway, she's all in on it right now.
I think it's neat. Nope, I'm all for it.
But anyway, she was asking me, do you have this CD, this CD? I'm like, honey, I have no idea. The boxes at best have like, B to J or something, you know what I mean? Like some amount of like the, alphabetical order to them. So I thought, you know what? I wonder if I can take a picture of the spines of the jewel cases that have the disc name and and feed that to, an AI system and have it identify them specifically, and then give me like a spreadsheet, let's say, of all of the titles, the band, the album name, and then maybe the year it was published or something. And sure enough, took a picture, fed it into, I don't remember which one I used. And, it said, okay, great. Here's your CSV file. Do you want, we can add in the label and like all this extra data, if you want to, enrich your output. And I'm like, no, I don't need to. But the idea that I could now just take 20 pictures or whatever it is of the boxes, have those images processed, fed into a spreadsheet, and then at the end of that, have a list. Now, of course, I can go through and do the same thing. I'd have to either do OCR in some way, which is kind of not great because OCR and some of those stylized fonts and stuff doesn't really work very well. And also, it would just be a ton of work to do and really kind of be annoying, and literally probably take me weeks to do. Whereas in
Yeah,
this
so what's the
case,
picture per box, Eric?
Mhm.
Oh, it was per box, not in each individual.
Right. So it's just so they're lined up where you just
Yeah.
see the backs of the jewel case. And so it's just that little bit strip of text. And yeah, and it was able to
The whole
recognize.
box, not individual. You did the whole, however many fitted in that box. You just took a picture
Yeah,
of the
correct.
box.
Let's say there's 30 in each one. So
Wow,
it
that
got
is
all 30 of them, even ones like there were some that were turned the other direction. So, and it just sort of figured out what was there. And I double checked it.
Yeah.
I verified, counted. I'm like, okay, there were 28 in this box and there were 28 results, and, and verified each one, and it got them all. So, and because it has access to the record label data and all that stuff, it knew how to pull in all the other data that it needed to create the CSV spreadsheet file. And there you go, 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to argue with that.
Clever. That is clever. But going back to your point, Nate, where you said that you used AI to read this 2,500 page document or however many pages it was, haven't you set the bar now for management when they ask you to do that again and they say, well, hang on a minute, you did it last time, so you can do it again this time? Are you setting management's expectations too high for what is in reality a sensible thing to do with something that's going to have such an impact on the company? You're muted.
I work for a smaller company, so it's not really that's not a problem, I guess you could say, because it was more like I wasn't asked necessarily to, like, you need to find this information out. The questions were being presented. Hey, do we know if this thing can do this? And so I want to make sure that everyone was well informed on that. And I probably could have just read through it, or the pertinent parts of it. But it just, to me, this is just an easier, like, oh, I wonder how this will work for me, and it did. And yeah, you're right. It does actually it does raise the bar a little bit, but I don't see that as a detriment at this point. Yeah.
But they're going to throw that kind of stuff at you anyway, aren't they? Sorry, Zeb.
They do all the time. Hey, can you answer this question? This is not really my area. I know, but you're smart with these things. I'm like,
yeah, right. You could figure it out.
Yeah.
So I can actually speak to something about that, Zeb. I actually have found that not necessarily that the use of AI adjusts manager expectations, but that the manager expectations are already set, that the only way you can accomplish them is to use AI. I think across the board, like, the expectations on information workers has gone up so much that you almost have to use the tools to keep up with the workload, because places aren't, hiring half the amount of people with double the work, and you almost have to do that.
And unfortunately, a lot of that is the fault of the employees by letting them putting you under that pressure. But the other side of the flip coin is,
where else are you going to work?
If you don't do it, they'll get rid of you and get somebody who will. So it's that fine balancing act. And I'm thank goodness I'm no longer in work, because when I was in work, I didn't used to put up with nonsense like that. It's, well, if you want that information, get it yourself.
Well, let me ask you. Let me relate it this way, Zeb, because I've had this same sort of thought, but around a different thing. So a lot of the times something in my company would come up and nobody, of course, could figure out anything, and it would always fall back to me, much like Nate was saying. And at the time, I would just go on Google, and because I knew Google Foo and knew how to, specify either specific sites or, make sure a certain term was included or excluded, as if, it wasn't like the syntax was all that hard to figure out, but unless you took the time, you didn't know how to really Google something. You knew how to, if you just type something in, you could get a sort of a response, but it won't be as clear or as concise. And that was like a skill, right? Like I knew how to use a search engine better than other people. And so there was an expectation then that I knew how to find answers to things that other people just sort of couldn't do. Now, what ended up happening to me, and I think this probably happened to a lot of you guys too, in a couple different ways. One, when's the last time you had to memorize a phone number? which was a key skill whenever we were young, right? You had to know people's phone numbers, or how the hell else did you call them? I don't know anybody's phone number anymore. Same thing with Google. Before Google existed, like, you have to go find a book, or you'd have to go ask someone, or you'd have to like find some source of knowledge, encyclopedia, like somewhere to find an answer. And I think I felt at some point like I got really lazy just going to a search engine and just asking a question. It was like a crutch. Like, it was even things I should know and I should remember. It was like, oh, I'll just go type it into a search engine because I know it's going to give me the answer. And so I think what you're relating right now in terms of being uncomfortable with offloading thinking processes and being self-reliant in finding information. I've already gone through that with Google and with other search engines, because I feel like that it was the same sort of situation, right? Where things that I should have known, I was being lazy and going through search engines.
And I get where you're coming from, and I guess it's also, you just got to accept the fact that the world is changing. The world has changed. There's less opportunities out there now. So if you want to keep your job, you have to do these things. And it's just a new way of thinking. And just because I'm not comfortable with it doesn't mean that my old way was correct. It's a brand new world. It's a new world. It's a bright new world. We didn't have computers when I was growing up. So, that would be some people saying, well, what are you using a computer for? Why don't you just write it down? Well, writing it down was too slow for me. Reading the manual is now classed as too slow when you can get an AI model to, so wake up, Zeb, and stop being an old fuddy-duddy.
So Eris says he knows at least 5 phone numbers. I want to ask you this, Eris. Are they 5 phone numbers that you already knew before you got a smartphone, or did you have to learn them after? Because I still remember all of my childhood phone numbers. I just don't remember anything new.
So also, when we were younger, 4 people or 6 people shared the same phone number at a house. So there wasn't a need to memorize as many numbers.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know the number to my school, I didn't know the number to my school or church or anything. Well, actually, I didn't. Did church? No, I didn't.
Wait,
and so
you didn't look them up in a book, did you?
No, they were actually written on an index card, like on the phone itself. They had all the important numbers were right there, so I knew the number. That's where my grandma's number was, and all these other numbers that were important. So
I was alluding to phone book, which is sort of an outmoded concept now, right?
I still remember my old house phone number.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's still alive and
exists,
active.
So.
Yes, I'm not going to say
exactly.
My remember my house phone number is unfortunately a mirror of the pizza place.
Ooh.
So like ours was 9898 and the pizza place was 9292. And so people who were swapping from a phone or a calculator would often get that backwards. And we get calls for the pizza place all the time.
So did you ever
pretend
take
to
the
fill
orders?
one? You're like, that'll be there in 30 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You think I missed out on that? No, sir. Absolutely that did. Their pizza would never come.
And I'll tell you a crazy thing about the old phone numbers. And you guys, if you were around at Charlottesville in 2019, when I was telling everybody, my Linux password is still my old house phone number. 4 digits. It's something I'm never going to forget. And when I went through a little, not so much a panic, but I think, do you know what? I've used this for 25 years now, so let's change it. And then I'd change it to something else. And then I forgot what I'm changing it to. So I then had to look up, how do I change his password back to what it was before? And now I just don't bother changing. It's just those 4 digits. And anybody can remember that back that far will know my Linux password. But good luck getting in. You got to get past me and my baseball bat.
There you go.
Well, hey, who wouldn't forget the satisfaction also of being able to slam the handset down on the phone so hard that it made the ringer ring? Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You try to do that with a smartphone now, you're just like,
Well, I have had a few conversations where I've slammed my phone shut because I can do that with a foldable phone. So there's that.
Nice. Yeah, I've tried to explain the 30-foot phone cord from the kitchen, phone that you could walk halfway through the house with, to my daughter, and rotary dialing, all that fun stuff. So
There was someone I was talking
Yeah,
to, IRL, that actually they went to a house phone that was tethered like that. And I
But
thought, what a great
there's
idea.
no such thing anymore. I don't think you can do like twisted copper pair anymore. I think it's all going to be IP
Yeah, it
based.
will be.
So
Yep, you can plug it, but you can plug a POTS phone into a device that'll encode it.
yeah, I have one.
Yeah,
It's a little OB high.
Unfortunately, in the UK, we still can. Although I've got the fibre line here, I've still got the old-fashioned. Is it RJ45?
Yep.
What was the old telephone number? So we've got one of those, and if I wanted to, I can buy one still now. That's 110 foot, and walk it down the stairs and sit in the front room on the phone. But the thing that I found amusing just recently is some of these videos that you're seeing where people like us are giving their kids a phone and saying, you know, your nan's phone number, give her a call. And they're literally sticking their fingers in the hole for the dials, expecting it to dial and not realizing that they had to wind it all the way back. And it's just so funny watching the newer generation try and use our old technology.
The height of laziness was if you had a friend or someone whose number had a lot of zeros or nines. You were like, I don't know if I actually really want to call them.
So it took forever for it to come back around.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you couldn't force it, otherwise it'd muck up the tone or whatever it was sending down the line.
Yep. Oh my.
So on the software thing for this year, does anybody have any like other like hopes as far as like software is concerned? Like I'd like to have some application on your computer besides like an AI self-hosted thing.
It seems like everything's come down to the same, 5 pieces of software or whatever. It's always the Adobe suite. You know, it's always Microsoft Office. It's always like the same. I mean, I know there's a lot of specialized stuff that runs only on Windows, and I get that. I mean, obviously, because if something's developed internally or whatever. But, I mean, just a consumer at this point. I mean, everything's online for the most part. You know, office-based or email. Everything's through a browser. So I just don't know what's left for somebody's, mom or somebody to just like use any kind of computer, right?
Yeah, as you say, I think it's all down to niche things. And I guess my one wish was, can somebody please make a Linux version of copy-paste text, which is a copy-paste program that I use exclusively on Twitch. And it allows me to, like, the Windows key 1, and it will bring up a list of stuff that I've already typed in previously. So I can just go Windows 1 and click number 7, or Windows 2 and click that. And I've got all 9 numbers set up with various paste commands. And yes, there are some great Linux copy and paste programs out there, but none that have the simplicity of just literally the meta key, a number, and then click, and it just pastes it in the text. And I've searched and searched and searched, and I can't find anything. And it doesn't work with bottles because it's all these Windows DLL specific commands that just Linux can't interpret. So if somebody could create the Linux equivalent of copy paste text, you would have my undying love forever.
I really need to find whoever creates Clipboard Indicator, that extension in GNOME, because it is the clipboard that I've been using for, I don't know, a decade or more, since GNOME 3 has come out, basically. And it's sort of similar, Zeb, where I have it, so, Control-C, Control-V is copy-paste, obviously. I have Control-Alt-V set to open the clipboard, and then there's no hotkey from there, so I still have to kind of use the arrow keys. But then you pick the one you want, hit the enter key, and then now that's in your buffer, and so then I can go to whatever paste. But I honestly don't know how people get along without a clipboard manager. It's so much more work to have to like continuously flip back and like, oh, what was that thing I copied like 2 hours ago? Oh, that's right. I can just go into the list and find it. So, I mean, I know there's technically like maybe a security concern because it may have sensitive stuff in there. But
Sure.
like you said, I mean, they have to get through me and my herd of cats first to get to it.
Plasma has a clipboard manager that's actually really nice, and so I have my mouse set up so that when I push this like hidden button right here, it brings up my clipboard so I can jump back to another thing to paste, whether it's a picture or text or whatever, and that's super handy. Although sometimes if you're playing a game kind of aggressively, all of a sudden your clipboard manager pops up and screws you up. But that's a different problem. That's a me problem. But anyway, it's a neat thing for sure.
I use KDE, and I love the clipboard manager on KDE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely
maybe it's because I've just spent so much of my life doing data manipulation, data entry, data manipulation, data, wrangling, that just clipboard functionality is so important to me. That's why it blows my mind that I believe that iPhone still does not have a clipboard, which is just like,
doesn't it?
Or did it just get it? Maybe I don't think it's had it, or I mean, maybe someone who uses iPhones can say, but and maybe that was early on. That's what made me hate iPhones, was that you couldn't copy and paste. I don't remember, but yeah, it's absolutely critical functionality for me.
Yeah, for sure. Out of Windows, does Windows have a clipboard manager where you can have multiple entries? I don't think it does, at least not by default.
Only the toys. What is that?
No, it's built in. You do
Our toys.
Windows
It does have
TV,
a
and it has it built in. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not very configurable. It's literally the last thing that you copied is then at the top of the list. And if you want something from an hour ago, you then have to scroll down the list and pick it. But yeah, there is one built in, but it's not very configurable. But the stupid sort of things that I use my clipboard for, and I'm going to stick it in chat, and it probably won't come out because it might not equate to Linux. But if you look at the YouTube video, that's the sort of stupid stuff that I will use to paste into Twitch. So rather than me having to type out every single time, it's just good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and then everyone, and I would change the name of the Twitch channel on the end of it so that it became individual. And each one of those was on 1 to 9 and then 0. So it just makes it so easy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. There's another text manipulation thing it's kind of like that. It's less of a clipboard manager where it's capturing things and more of like you just set up hotkeys and it can dump out a string based on, like, paste a string based on a hotkey. I forget what that was.
Wait, remind me what it is then, because that sounds like what I'll need. I just literally want to go shortcut, keyboard shortcut, hit enter, and it just puts it into the chat box, or it puts it into the box that you've got highlighted.
You may actually even be able to just do that by mapping the keys. I wonder. Like if you go to the operating, the desktop environment, but
then you start getting it into, interrupting with Control C, Control V, and there's only, I've got like.
Well, it depends on the. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend on how unique the keyboard shortcut is. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and when you've got something like 80 of these copy pastes.
Oh yeah.
And the crazy thing is now I know where, like my top guy is Windows 1, my second top guy is Windows 2, so I know which number to go through, and then I can just look through the list because it brings up a display on the screen, and you just click it, and it's done. That's just me being lazy and not wanting to type this stuff and use emote icons.
Listen, there is such a thing as carpal tunnel and repeat stress. It's a good thing to have shortcut. We're that's what a lot of you mentioned that there's not a lot of people like us. I'd like to think that those of us that exist look for ways to make. What amazes me when I go up to someone and I'm like, well, just paste, and they don't know that there's such a thing as a keyboard shortcut. Like they're not even familiar with the concept, and you're just like, how long have you been using a computer and you don't know Control C, Control V? Like, okay. but they're out there.
And then going up to them on a laptop and asking them to highlight that little bit of text and then copy and paste it somewhere else. Well, how do I highlight it with a mouse pad?
Yeah.
It is pretty funny.
Life is very hard for certain people.
It is.
Much more difficult than it needs to be.
But then on the flip side of that, take me to an engine and I don't know, I just get in it and put my foot on the gas. I don't know what's under the bonnet. Or take me to a junction box. I don't know what electricians do. If I've got to change a plug in the house, I turn all the bloody electrics off, even though the damn thing's not plugged in, because I'm scared I'm going to get an electric shock. It's crazy, but if you don't know, you just don't know.
Well,
don't mess with electricity.
All your electricity in the UK is 220, so yeah, you definitely want to shut that off. In the United States, we have 110. That'll just tickle. That's not going to kill you. Maybe a little pop here and there. All right, what about for gaming? Is there any like particular gaming hardware, or do you see anything, maybe gaming software things you might see changing here in the next year?
Steam
maybe the Intel and
Steam
maybe
frame.
the Intel.
So what's that? Steam what?
Oh, we can cover the Intel thing first. Sorry.
Oh,
Intel video cards. They're seem to be pretty good.
is it time to buy one? Maybe not one with the price.
Maybe when you can buy.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. All of these things depends what you want to do, isn't it? Do you? I mean, there was a video on YouTube recently where there was a $250 Intel Arc. I think it was a B580 that was playing games and recording and streaming in 4K. Okay, it was only getting between 20 and 60 frames a second, but for a $250 card, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And they're only going to get better theoretically as long as they keep putting effort into it.
Yeah,
the 480. Which one?
It'll be the B380, right? This one everyone.
I'm hopeless at remembering the numbers and stuff, but
I think it's the B380. But yeah, I'm hopeful that they stick with it. But man, that is a rough market right now.
Yeah.
Like Nvidia is like 90% of the market. It's a silly amount of the market. Not talking about the data center and all. I'm just talking about gaming GPUs. They're like 90%. And like even
AMD has caught up a lot.
What's that?
Is it still as much as 90%?
No, I think it's still pretty much 90%. It's astonishing how much of the market they actually have. And the thing about Intel is they've been struggling with a lot of drivers and software issues, at least on Windows and Linux. Honestly, I don't know anyone who's really testing these on Linux all that much. But yeah, they're good cards. Like the hardware is good. I think their problem is their drivers and software support has been kind of lackluster. But even then, like we were just talking about before, how like a success in a company can still be a failure, right? And so people could critically love the B380s, they could, or B580s or whatever they are now. Like they could absolutely love these cards, and they could Intel would still be like, yeah, this is losing us money, so off we go. And then everyone who bought them is just kind of like, well, no more drivers for me.
I think sometimes the thing is that with us being in the Linux world, there's a certain degree of wishful thinking that we, have, and sometimes the perception that something is become more popular. Say, for example, AMD cards may not necessarily bear out in the wider world. I think we've got to be mindful of the fact that something like what Adam had just mentioned, that NVIDIA is still far ahead of everybody else, even though we might be exposed more to a bunch of like AMD stuff and Intel stuff. There's still tiny proportions of what the wider market is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but, I just got lazy. I just got lazy and looked it up, and Nvidia are now down to only 84%.
Only 84.
Only 84.
What Windows is basically, right? Like,
Probably,
You know,
yeah.
that's kind of the thing, right? Like Windows is still the de facto, even if it's not. Yeah, and so it's also, I watched a video where guys from PC World were at PAX West. It's like a video game convention, and they were asking people. They were curious, like what kind of GPUs actual gamers at the convention were using. First off, most of them didn't even know like what the model was or anything. They're like, I got some NVIDIA thing or whatever. You know, they didn't know what it was. But the other thing is, like a few were AMD. Like maybe I'd say of the like 50 or so on the video, like maybe 3 or 4 were AMD. So many were NVIDIA. And I think maybe an Intel guy was in there. I can't even remember because like it was that, you know, it was that few people. And like NVIDIA was just such a huge percentage of just, it's a small sample size, but it's a representative sample size of kind of what bears out in the market in general. And like, yeah. And of course, the reality is, you know, people don't even know what they have most of the time, it seems. But yeah, it's really just that crazy. And so with the GPU market the way it is, while I would love for Intel to be more of a player in it, and I'd love AMD to be more of a player in it, it's still rough. And hardware prices and all that aren't even the point of this. It's really just like the question that a lot of people will kind of think is, okay, first off, do you want a laptop? Because the only option you got is NVIDIA. Like AMD just doesn't make modern AM, like their latest chip is like their 7000 series. And even then it's only the 77, so it's not crazy for gaming. So pretty much if you want a gaming laptop, you have to buy NVIDIA. And then beyond that, like if you knew a GPU manufacturer like Intel was a single digit or less of like low single digits of the market, would you feel good about the long-term support that you're going to get in that product? But the guy who's 84%, it's like, well, odds are he's going to stick around and give me, you know, driver support, and games are going to support it better and new technologies. And so even as a consumer, you kind of have to think like, as much as I want this company to succeed, do I really want to blow my money on something that's not even close to a sure thing?
Adam, can
And
I
I think
ask
the
a
changes
question?
as well. Yeah, go on in. Sorry.
No.
Carry on.
Continue this line of thought. This is a branch from that. So keep your thought. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say the shame of it is since I got my new computer, which has got an onboard AMD iGPU, and using the Adrenaline software, it is so much better than the NVIDIA control panel in allowing you to individually configure. Yeah, I mean, the NVIDIA control panel has, and you'll have to excuse me because I mix up my resolution, my digits here, but it's got DSR and DLSS. But with NVIDIA, you're down to a set percentage that they want to give you. So, like on my, if you had a 1080p laptop, you could make that, or if you had a 1080p monitor, you could make that either 1440p, or if you wanted to use a magnifying glass, you could make it 4K. Whereas with the AMD software, you can go halfway in between those, but still keep the 16:9 aspect ratio. So between 2440 and 4K is actually 3200 by 1800, which on certain monitors for certain games is a hell of a lot of better resolution if you want to see more of the game, but doesn't have a major impact on your machine like 4K does. AMD Adrenaline software does it out of the box. NVIDIA doesn't. Individual
Agreed.
use case. Yeah.
However, if you can't get an AMD card in your form factor, what are you going to do? You know, you look at a pre-built market. That's a big market for, you know, people don't always build their machines like we do, and but the pre-built market's big. It's hard to find AMD cards. Like you can get custom built ones with AMD cards, but when you go to a store, you have like one, maybe two models with an AMD card, and then like 12 with NVIDIA, none with Intel, and then you look at the laptops, and they're all NVIDIA.
Yeah,
and so it's like if you even just not knowing anything, it's like, should I go with the one that only has two, or the one that has the rest?
And FYI, I haven't built a computer in 15 years. I can't be bothered with
Yeah.
all the hassle. I just get mine pre-built.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So yeah, Eric,
was gonna ask-
ask me a question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you think there's a danger of consumer level video cards suffering because NVIDIA is so focused on the AI data center?
They already have
1 million. It's already out there, mate. It's already happened. Yeah.
Okay.
They're even now talking about focusing more on 8 gigabyte NVIDIA cards because they don't want to put
Because of
16
VRAM
gigabyte
prices.
VRAM in a gaming card when they can use that other 8 gigabyte for an AI model. So they're
going
already
back to
coming down the market.
Well, and going back now to that, right, monopoly and having just a few players in the market, when here we really have one player, they're making insane profits on an adjacent business line. So now the offerings available to, and maybe it's because PC just isn't as, seen as popular as it once was, but I think that's a real shame. Or maybe it's an opportunity for someone to come in and fill a need, right? I don't know. But,
which is what I think
kind of sucks,
Yeah, but that's what I think Dan was on about when he's saying that the rise of Intel more and more now, because they are making these entry-level video cards that can compete against an old 3060 with 12 gig. So
it's just like you said, it's it may not be the best video card, but the price is right.
Well, I can tell you just, I recently bought a new workstation, and I've been kind of pricing this thing out since about November. And since November, well, I ended up buying it at the end of December. The video card in it went up almost $50 in price over that span. So,
yeah, and unfortunately you arrived late.
It's an NVIDIA, yeah.
Yeah, if you'd have looked at it 6 months ago, the prices, although the prices were stupidly rock high because there wasn't any context, but with RAM and SSD prices and all the rest of it, if you could have got in on the game 6 months ago, then you easily save $500 on a good spec build PC.
Well, see, I actually had to buy it at the end of the year, so well, technically I bought it the first of the year, but because I depreciate my machine for my business, and so that's why. I could have bought one in June cheaper, but it didn't really do me any good tax wise, So, but yeah, they even came out and said that they're going to focus more on the AI side. I mean, I thought there was a statement about that recently, wasn't there?
Do you think with the current shortages of silicon in all their forms due to this crazy whatever, do you think that we're going to see maybe game focus, like new games maybe focus on maybe getting more performance out of existing hardware for the time being? I mean, do you think there could be some positives in all this that maybe
no, it's called DLSS and FSR.
Yeah,
and unfortunately for me, that's the cheap way out of it. I was really pleased recently that I think Battlefield 6 doesn't use any of that because the program has decided to make their code tighter and better and work properly without DLSS and the AMD equivalent. And it's so much easier nowadays for a developer to go, well, here's the code, it works. Now let's throw some DLSS on top and take the native frame rate from 50 frames a second up to 120 frames. Yeah, that'll do. But it's all this generated AI stuff. And if they just spent the time making the code better, then you wouldn't need all these high-end fancy graphics card with DLSS and is it RDNA from AMD? What's the AMD equivalent of DLSS?
FSR.
FSR, yeah. So for me, that's the cheap way out of making a game perform with better FPS.
Well, it's not even with just games anymore. Several of the frameworks that I work with in development, their focus this last year has been to make them leaner and meaner.
Yeah, that
use
sounds
less
like a
memory.
good thing.
So,
That sounds like a
yeah, it
positive.
is.
Like this could be a,
Yeah.
because it does seem like software is just kind of gluttonous with the amount of resources it grabs,
Oh, it has
like
been.
unnecessarily.
It has
So,
been.
I mean, I understand like databases they want to use up as much RAM as possible, but if if like okay, so I was actually just telling Adam this earlier. I got this new Commodore 64 Ultimate, and I was running some updates for the C64 OS for it, which is it's a neat operating system. But the guy who's working on that, he's really making like extracting as much performance out of this 8-bit hardware as he possibly can by just being more clever with his programming and more efficient with this programming. So you can do all these really neat things that was never possible for a 40-year-old computer today because of the tools we have and everything else. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe some of that cleverness can maybe move its way into modern a little bit more. And I think Linux has a lot more. Open source has a lot more of that. I think more quality programming than I think maybe some of the commercial applications out there. But I'm just hoping there might be some positives that come out of this unfortunate situation.
As far as the software quality goes, there's anybody who's worked with project management or project managers, there's three sides to this triangle, right? There's cheap, there's fast, and there's quality, and you can pick two.
Right.
Yep. That's your Venn
I have an
diagram.
idea.
Yeah.
Yep. I have an idea. Like, okay, I'm gonna use an analogy here. So with cars, for example, right? We used to have very, very, cars with huge engines. I mean, we still do, but it was more common to have cars with huge engines that were quite wasteful. But then, sort of geopolitics happened, and petrol got more expensive, and then cars and the environmental impacts as well, and cars got more efficient. What if somehow, we had maybe, I don't know, a memory shortage? Maybe that might force programmers to become more efficient. No, I'm being facetious here, by the way.
Memory shortage, that'll never happen.
Actually, bringing that up, that's actually an argument for DLSS and FSR, because you can run it at lower resolutions that require less VRAM and just fill it in with the ML cores. So you just,
I mean, if only silicon could be more expensive, maybe programmers could be forced to be more efficient. I'm just
maybe it was all a mistake to begin with, Vince.
Well, and you have the other side of that too, is because of supply and demand, artificially heightened demand, the price of memory is very high. But what if? So they're making a lot of memory sticks right now because of that. Well, what happens if the demand suddenly decreases massively? Then you're going to have RAM that's extremely cheap. If that happens,
it's going to be interesting what happens in the next maybe year or two, for sure. I'm actually hoping for more Linux adoption because you just can't upgrade the Windows 11 PCs. So maybe this might be actually good timing for the expansion of users. I don't know.
Yeah, people can't afford to buy a new one, so yeah.
I do have a feller that works for me at work, and he asked me about Linux the other day because he doesn't want to do the whole Windows 11 thing. So I gave him a Fedora disk and said, here, try this. And if you can't get it to install, I'll install it for you. He came in the next day. He said, works like a charm.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just had the same conversation earlier where it's like, I'm not a Windows user, so I don't see like the finite life of a computer anymore. We're well past the 32 to 64-bit, transition. So like at this point, I mean, it's all a matter of how long are you willing to wait for something to happen? Because yes, there are certain advances in technologies for gaming and, video cards and stuff like that. But by and large, the sort of multi task sort of, open-ended usability of a PC and processor means that it's not like it doesn't work anymore. It's just, it's going to get slow enough maybe that it annoys you, or it's a hobby and you want the newest, latest thing. Whereas, like, I have every computer I have right now, unless it breaks, I have absolutely no reason to replace it. It's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a different mind. It's just a different like way to look at something, that it can just last for as long as you want to use it.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately not the mindset of the general populace. Today we live in a throwaway society. Yeah, you go out and buy a washing machine for $300 and it breaks, you don't get it fixed. You just go out and buy another $300 washing machine.
Did you see the worst of CES? There's a video that's always comes out after CES, and this year the one that won was Samsung's refrigerator that doesn't have handles. You have to ask it to open, and it has a video panel on the front, and it'll only open after you watch. Like it's bananas. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds
Can you imagine
and
that?
there's no edge that you can grab hold of because it's really strange. I never use my fridge door handle. I just grab the top of the door and pull it open. So there's nothing you can grab hold of to open it. It just simply won't open, no?
That's what according to them, that's what they said. Like the power's out, you can't open your refrigerator.
Is the UK government?
What if your medication's in there?
And you're gonna have to watch an ad telling you how bad it is to eat the stuff you're about to eat.
And by the way, can we order more for you?
I like the idea of having to weigh yourself before the fridge will open.
Yep.
I can see there's going to be an upturn in the chainsaw market. I want my ice cream. As you rip open the door to get it, yeah.
Yep.
Makes good for some good content.
I just don't know.
Locksmith just isn't going to do it. You have to call the fire department now to open your fridge.
Yeah, the jaws of life.
Yeah. Pry open
I don't know who these products are for. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are really into smart home who just get all worked up over, everything being on their network and, or Alexa enabled or whatever. But like, do you really want your refrigerator to have a display on it? Like, does it need to? It already is fragile enough. These things are going to break much sooner than their predecessors ever would have. And I know a certain person that used to work in the appliance industry who's told me about, manufactured end of life and things like that.
So, we were talking to you about that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Think of a washing machine. Okay. Can you think of a more violent place for electronic components than a machine that vibrates and shakes and is covered in water most of the time?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but just frankly unnecessary in many ways, right? You can, to a certain degree. I don't disagree that there are circuit boards or certain processes that do benefit from, a small, processor or something. It's this like, it has to have Wi-Fi, or it has to have just like an advanced capability that doesn't even really make sense in the grand scheme of things, unless you want it to like. I mean, yeah, the only thing I can think of that if I had a fridge that connected to the Wi-Fi would be let me know if the door's open.
And you could do like the dude in Silicon Valley did and hack it and a nasty message on the front of it.
But that's this dumbest part is like most of these IoT devices, they get shipped from the factory. There's never any plan ever of updating them. They're already based on out-of-date software in most cases because, who cares? And like, what happens when they don't support it anymore? You can't use it. It's mind-boggling to me. People just must be short-sighted enough or just have a fundamental misunderstanding of how things operate, I guess.
I would say end-of-cycle notifications would be useful because, like, my washing machine and dryer are here, but I'm often working out in my lab or in the shop. So that'd be nice to know when it's done so I can tell my Optimus robot to go take care of it. And I'm kidding, I don't have one of those. But it would be handy. But Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are kind of running a little bit late here. I like this conversation. It's so much fun. I really enjoy this conversation. But I do want to get to some housekeeping. So next week is distro exploration. And then, of course, we can keep talking about any sorts of topics from the community, you guys. And I think I just had a conversation with Eris. He gave me a list. And I'm thinking, how does everyone feel about Pop! OS with Cosmic, trying that out, and then giving some feedback on how that's going?
Yeah,
That
I'm
one
game on
Thumbs
that.
down. Zeb, you just don't want to try anything out. You don't have to try it out if you don't want to.
No, it's just that I've already tried it out. And for my setup, I had too many errors with it because it's too new still, I guess.
Okay.
They've
Well,
still
it's
got to
good.
iron out too many bugs for me.
Well, that's great though, because I would love to hear about that, and then we can chat about that. You know, because I like to talk about the highlights and the lowlights about how these things go, and what doesn't work and
I'll
what you
put
wish
it
you
back
would do.
on and try and make a little short list. I'll try and keep it under 50 of things that went wrong.
You can bring up as much as you want. It's not gonna cause me any
No, I'm
heartache.
only joking. With me, it's always the same thing. It's a screen resolution and the difference between zooming and scaling. And I think it's just me getting my head wrapped around how Linux determines what is meant to be zoomed and what is meant to be scaled. And the thing why I don't like Wayland is because I've lost that ability to go in there and run an XR and R command that literally scales my monitors exactly how I want them, and it works every single time with doing the point, so I can make this 27-inch monitor into 4K but still read the text. So I'll install it again for you guys and let you know.
Sure, be great. So I see a Run of the Dolphins in the chat. So we're going to get to MX here pretty soon, or unless you should tell me we should wait on that. But I'd like to get to that one as well. Awesome. But if you
MX
have
is already installed and it works.
It always does. So if you have any straw poll ideas or application suggestions, distribution suggestions, discussions, anything, any suggestions you got, send to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com or tag in the Linux Saloon Discord or Telegram, wherever you'd like to go. Love for you to join. That'd be great. And then also I wanted to get to, because I did promise Ben a quick community free pour. So if you have anything like, go ahead and fire away, Ben. We don't have a whole lot of time here, and Secret just ran off on you too earlier. So I think he said we were boring him.
Yeah, he gave his segment. So, we've been working hard at at the current version of StormOS and Eco and all these sorts of things. We did thoroughly test it to the bone. We've been tweaking the installer, pushing it, making different, enhancements. Like, the recent build that we did, we put multiple desktop selections in there. So, like, you can have a window manager, you can have an alternative desktop, whatever you want. Now, a word about that. The multiple desktops, the only one that comes pre-configured, and we did this because we don't know what other people want. We don't know what their particular workflow or whatever they want is. So the only one that comes pre-configured is XFCE. The other ones, if you pick it, you're not going to get a pre-configured, tricked out, everything is purity and rainbows, desktop. You're not going to get that. You're going to get, whatever the distro comes with, that's it. So basically, if you don't pick our XFCE rights, the desktop configuration is on you. So yeah, that's something we added, as well as it's an complete online installer, and it installs a heap ton faster than Calamari's does. And the reason we went with this installer, like Red said earlier, is because, and like I said during pre-show, it's more unique to us, and also we just got sick and tired of screwing about with Calamari's, because it was always something would go wrong and we'd have to re-update it or whatever. So yeah, isn't that kind of the track record that we decided, Red?
Well, he's gone.
I think
So
But yeah,
So,
either way, he left. But either way, it's whatever. So, yeah, essentially, that's sort of where we went with the installer, and beyond that, we did some shrinking down of the panel and things like that. So that's sort of where we left it. So
well, I hope you're still
yeah,
having
and
fun
hopefully
though.
we can. Yeah, we're still having a good amount of fun, and everything's looking forward pretty good. So,
Good
anywho,
deal.
yeah, that's sort of where we're at with StormOS, and
I,
hopefully we can get a review on it here pretty soon.
did you share? I don't remember here unless I missed it. Did you share that you're like 108 now on DistroWatch?
We're at 108, yes,
Yeah,
and
that's pretty cool. Moving up.
hopefully we've got some more reviews of it out there, not just you guys, but some other places, and get those. We've had we're over the 35K download mark now, so it's getting up there. And in case you KDE lovers in the group are wondering, yes, we did put KDE as an install option in the installer. So, whenever we do our next distro explore of it, hopefully soon, that is an option in the installer now for you, Dale, as well as you, Nate. So if you don't want to pick our flagship XFC, you don't got to. So, yeah.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
And, yes. So hopefully that'll inspire, some folks to download it. So, yeah.
Well, that's
And
awesome.
I think Red also added the graphics drivers in there. I don't know, but yeah, that's something I will check as well. So, but yeah, and also for you Mac users out there, we do have the Broadcom Wi-Fi drivers in there too. So, oh, and another thing, this is the final thing. We do ship now with the Zen kernel and the LTS kernel for better compatibility and all that stuff. So, anyway, that's my segment for this week, and hopefully, we'll take shit from there. Thanks, Nate.
Cool. Looks like actually you fell a little bit on the distro watch. So,
Oh, I gotta check that. Hold on a second.
it's right. Not a big deal. All right.
Oh
So we'll go ahead
yeah,
and move on
we're still
to.
at 108. I didn't say we went up. We're still at 108.
Oh, I just pulled it just now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I just checked it. It's at 108 still. Either way, I gotta jump off. I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to last call here. Must be looking at a different distro watch. So, Dale, what do you got going on here, and in your world?
Working way too much to have fun with YouTube right now. So I did a video showing a couple of videos doing some OpenSUSE news, but other than that, not a whole lot. I did clean up my spot though, just like I said I was gonna do.
Yeah, it's going to be do like a show and tell though.
Well, no.
Fantastic. I know things get busy.
I will say I'm looking forward to KDE Plasma 6.6. It's going to have 3 things I'm looking forward to in it. It's going to have the Plasma Login Manager. It's going to be part of it. The
Does that
Plasma...
replace SDDM?
Yes. Well, yes, it does. And the Plasma keyboard will be replacing Malite for virtual keyboard. And the Plasma... I don't remember the name of it, Plasma Login or Setup Manager, first time you run it, Setup Manager kind of thing.
That'll be good.
It's going to have that. Those 3 things will be in 6.6. Beta is out now if you want to test. I am testing the Plasma keyboard on my 2-in-1 laptop, and it's pretty darn good. It's
Sweet.
Definitely better than Malite.
I need to try it out when when that comes out. I'm gonna try it on one of those little garbage tablets that I have. I'm gonna see how that goes.
And hopefully I get it. Hopefully I get time pretty soon. I'm gonna do a KDE Plasma 6.6 review on my YouTube.
That'd be cool. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Eric, nice to see you. I think first time this year, I think. Is it?
Well, that's not a, a high bar. It's only been 2 weeks, so thank you.
In 3 days.
Yeah, I kind of missed Christmas and all that stuff, so happy to be back. Also, I'll have you know that one night, because I'm dumb and didn't realize that you switched to Discord, I sat in Zoom for like half an hour going, I wonder if anyone's gonna let me in. So yeah, I didn't realize that you had switched, so I thought that nobody was just paying attention to people's, and it never even occurred to me to look, because duh. But
Sorry about that.
Anyway,
Should have sent you a message.
no, it's cool. No, it's all good. So yeah, that was that's about it. And I haven't really been doing much with podcasting or other things. I'm just sort of, I don't know, kind of coasting right now, trying to take care of other things. And
I totally
really
get it.
haven't had a huge like interest in stuff right now, like Linux, and I don't know. It'll come back around, right? So.
Yeah, everything in phases, I think. There's seasons,
Yeah.
It's, I go through seasons of just not doing as much. Like I'm trying to I feel like there's seasons of treading water in technology lately, because it's my daily life, so I don't have the headspace sometimes to do something new, or even yeah, I get it.
Yep.
So thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing it.
Zeb, it's good to see you again. Man, it's been great. You're recently on Destination Linux again. That was like a blast from the past.
Yeah, that was great fun, and it's pretty much the same as last week, really. That I'm just so glad to be back in the Linux community and back in the fold of all my friends. I really, really missed that in the 6 years that I was away, and I've set myself a little challenge to only use one operating system until the end of the month, and to see how many times I digress and dip back into Windows. And so far, the only time I've had to do it is when I needed to update one of the mods on the game that I play, because you can't update it in Linux. At least I can't work out how to do it. So that's something else I've got to work out how to do. But apart from that, I'm sticking with Bazite for the moment, and just really, really enjoying being back amongst friends again. And long may it continue.
Fantastic. Really glad to hear. And I don't know if Trevaro, he just popped in the chat here. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say, but glad to have you. Better late than never, But no need to say anything, though. It's not required. Adam, thank you again for your input.
Yeah, of course.
You're a swell feller. Wait.
I appreciate
swell
that.
Feller. Or fell sweller. So good to have you here.
Yeah, of course.
Eris, appreciate you being here. It's nice to have you. I do appreciate these the straw polls. That was a good one. I enjoyed it anyway.
Thank you.
And Jinda, I know you're quite the rabble rouser again, but
Yep. I always have to be. I feel good. I did
thanks
a
for
good
being
job.
here. Did you get a lot of snow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a lot. Came back home from Texas.
Wasn't too bad.
No, it's just a lot here. I came back home from Texas, and I had to have somebody plow my driveway before I could even pull in, so that was nice.
Oof.
Yeah, it was like 8 to 12 inches, somewhere in that range, depending, so.
Oh, yeah, that's about what we got. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not much, I don't think, anymore.
Well, good point. You live in the cold tundra of, what, upstate New York or something like that?
No, Buffalo, New York, the snow capital of the world.
Oh, okay. Mike, no snow by you, I'm guessing?
Yes, sir. Nope, none. No, we can walk out to the mailbox in our underwear down here in January. So,
wow.
if you choose to do so.
Yeah, my neighbors love that.
Learned the hard way, didn't you?
He's lucky if it's underwear. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I mean, from 200 feet away, it's hard to tell the difference between boxers and shorts, right?
Exactly. My point. I've told my wife that I don't know how many times, and she still doesn't believe me. So
What have I been doing? I got my new workstation set up, and I'm loving it. It's very nice. I bought a ThinkStation P5 from Lenovo, and it's very, very, very fast. And so that's been nice. And I got everything moved over, which, of course, as you all know, takes forever. I've been working on a new version of MarkLight with some new features.
Sweet.
And hopefully I'll be releasing that maybe by the end of the month.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
Do you want to tell us what those new features are, or do you want to do it for like a community free pour?
Couple. I'm adding a hotkey to switch between view and edit mode. That was actually a requested feature.
Agenda? Did you request that?
And I've got been doing some refactoring to make the code a little more efficient and smaller, and I've actually been able to make the packaging a bit smaller, so that's good.
That's awesome.
A couple more small features, nothing major, So it'll come out when I release it. It'll be in the changes file on GitLab. So, and let's see, anything else? Yeah, I've still been working on another project a little bit. I've hit a couple of roadblocks, but I'll hopefully have it released soon. So, and I'll go ahead and tell you what it is if you're interested. It's
Yeah.
I actually talked to Nate about this. Wanted his opinion about it. It's basically a little database of command line commands. So like if you have, one cool thing about Linux and all the POSIX operating systems is that, you can string commands together and pipe through them and redirect to them and do all this other stuff. Well, sometimes you start going back in history trying to find those things, and it's either difficult or you don't remember what the command was or whatever. So this little graphical app will allow you to store those and basically pop open a terminal window and execute it for you. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's something that would almost fit like what Zeb was talking about earlier. Maybe not. I don't know.
Probably not. Because this is more just basically saving commands to use later, And if you use the same commands over and over a lot, and they're kind of long strings, it's a good place to save them and execute them. So I was surprised. I've had of the people that I've talked to in IT, everyone I've talked to has thought it was a good idea. So I've been pursuing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to try when you're ready for that. I would like an industry demonstration
absolutely.
for sure, like a community report demonstration. It'd
Sure.
be awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. Do appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And Vince. No, it's
Sorry, am I still here?
Yeah, it's the middle of summer there for
sorry.
you. What's the temperature outside?
Funny you should say that, because after this we're heading out to the pool.
Oh, nice.
It's actually not that warm today. It's only 23 Celsius.
I know what that is.
Kind of chilly.
What is that in Frankenstein?
Double it and 30.
Yeah, it's about 70-ish, 71,
73.
somewhere in there.
73.4.
Okay.
Close enough.
Yeah, that actually isn't quite pool weather like for me. I like it a little bit warmer for pool.
Well, we're going anyway. Shrinkage be damned.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here, Vince. I like your input's great to have.
You sure?
A positive. Everybody. It's wonderful.
I'm just being relentlessly, Vince.
Also,
I just like
If anybody
showing up.
hasn't,
what's that?
sorry, one other thing, Nate. If anybody hasn't said it in a long while, thank you for doing this show week after week after week and giving us an opportunity to come here and chat about the stuff we love. Big thank
Well,
you, Nate.
I just keep the lights on in hopes that that Rocco will come back and displace me. That's all.
I was just going to say, I show up. I show up just to see what's going to be behind Dell each week.
Like
Yeah,
Steve
no,
Jobs coming back, like
Yeah, it's just like that. Waiting. It's like Dad went out to get a gallon of milk and some smokes, and I want to play baseball with him, but I just keep waiting with my mitten and ball at the door.
oh no.
I'm kidding. All right, and if you want anything on me, go to keepinglate.com. Links to pretty much everything I do is there. So I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of this conversation, both here in the Discord meeting, YouTube stream, as well as for everyone that watches the show after the fact. Thank you so much for that as well. Also, I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux open source tools possible for us not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and share technology. Linux truly puts personal back into personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.
Bye for now.